Good morning, everybody. I'm just fixing up the camera here.
No, we're good.
I think I cancelled it.
Yeah, you
No,
cancelled.
it's okay. We're good. Let me just check in here. Good morning, everybody. Bright eyes and bushy tailed. This morning, with a different fox cup and the coffee has been had. I'm not sure if I just cancelled this live, so I just want to make sure that we're streaming.
Yeah, we're still live.
That we're streaming correctly.
You cancelled the cancel.
Okay. Right, let me just bring it up in here. So today we're going to talk about what does Christmas look like without binge and emotional eating. And, you know, this is something that I think a lot of ladies, like, they can't even begin to imagine what Christmas and a festive period and holidays look like without having this either a food addiction, some form of anxiety around food, maybe tracking obsessively up until the point that you go on holiday, and then having like this massive panic over basically having an all or nothing, well, fuck it approach whilst you're away and just eating everything, and then coming home from your holiday or coming down after I call it the Christmas come down, coming down after that Christmas and that festive period in January, especially I think in the UK where it's really like it's a hard time of year if you have seasonal affective disorder, because clearly the weather does affect my mood. But you know, when it's raining and it's cold outside and you're not particularly inspired to go train, it can be a really hard time of year. So hello Katie, I can see you're watching. For any of you ladies who are currently watching, can you just give us a wave or give us a like, just so I can know that you ladies can hear us before we get going. I'm just going to pull this up here.
So this is somewhat following on from our last live that we did, where we spoke about why, if you're waiting until 2020 or until January the 1st to crush it with your goals, whether it's your fitness goals or whatever, then you're already screwed, because basically you're telling your brain that this is already something that you don't want to be doing. And if you did want to do it, you'd be doing it now. So that then leads us on to the question, well, because some people might be looking at that going, well, that means that I'm not going to be able to enjoy Christmas, or that means that Christmas is going to be boring. No, you can still meet all of your values. And so it's important to, I guess, define what does Christmas look like without binge eating. Because a lot of people have no idea, right? And this is largely in part because people have been beaten into submission to the point where they can't think for themselves by both the weight loss industry and the fitness industry, because both of these industries have inadvertently conditioned people into an all or nothing mentality, into this kind of perfectionism mentality, which is where you're either being perfect and doing things rigidly and doing things a certain way, or you're completely off the wagon and you have no way of being able to navigate the many grey areas of life. And this is one of the reasons why people struggle so frequently, is that life is filled with grey areas. And if you constantly need hard and fast numbers or rigid rules to tell you what to do in every conceivable eventuality, like that's unsustainable. You have to learn to think for yourself, and you have to learn to make your own decisions, and you have to be able to navigate things like Christmas and birthdays and weddings and all of these other things. Did you have something?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why we brought this up was because the festive period for a lot of women is, like I said in the beginning, a really big struggle, and they see it as basically this whole month or longer that you give yourself permission to eat and drink whatever you like, because if you can't attain this, this perfect diet, this perfect training, well, then why even bother? But if we really look at what the Christmas, New Year, festive period is, before we had children, we actually used to be social. But, it might entail a work function where you go out for a couple of drinks. All right, let's just say even on the extreme side, okay, I'm Welsh. I like to have a drink now and again. Let's just say you go out and you really party and you hit it hard and you wake up with a stinking hangover. Like, that's a one-off event. you're not partying like that for 6 weeks. Well, okay, maybe you were in your late teens and your early 20s at university. But, most people don't party like that anymore. And so we've got to stop this idea that Christmas and New Year is going to be like this whole massive month-long lash and binge fest and all that kind of stuff, and fuck this shit, let's start in January, because it's actually not like that. We may have 1 or 2 nights, maybe 3 nights, even if it's 5 nights over that month where you go out and you have a bit of a shedful. You know what? On Christmas Day, we all eat more, and that's completely normal. And you know what? After the Christmas period, if you've put on a little bit of weight, what would it be like if you jump on the scales, let's say you still weigh yourself, and you go, oh, that's interesting, I put on some weight. No surprising, because you've been eating and drinking. What if you could just look at that and go, oh, I put on some weight. Okay, no worries. We'll just get back to normal and get back to baseline. What would that even feel like? And I think this is what we've got to start thinking about. Of, if you've struggled with binge and emotional eating, as many of our clients have for in excess of 5 to 10 years, actually, most of our clients have struggled for probably more than 10 years, right? And have been seen and done everything, been to counselors, been to therapy, done hypnotherapy, whatever it is, that have been on every single diet that is in the fitness industry. There still comes a point at which you still have to believe in yourself that there is another way.
So here's the thing with binge eating. Binging is when, first of all, you lose self-control. You're eating things out of an emotional compulsion as opposed to having choice. And you know full well that you are violating your values. You're violating your own personal desired standards for health and fitness and well-being and respecting your body and so on. So once you basically have the capability to eliminate emotion from food, then now you can do things by choice, and now you can always, under every circumstances, meet all of your values at the same time. So you've got your health, fitness and well-being values, you've got your social values, you've got your recreational values. You can always be meeting all of these at the same time. So when Rachel and I allow ourselves more flexibility, right? So if you are able to see your overall pattern of behavior over a 365-day year, right? You've got your consistent pattern of behavior around food. There's going to be brief, very short deviations from that, right? Like weddings or birthdays. And they're so infrequent in terms of, if I've got, say, a wedding this weekend to go to, or a party or something, and I look back over the last few weeks and there's not been anything significant, I look ahead over the coming weeks, there's nothing significant in the diary, and I can allow myself an increased flexibility where maybe I just eat and drink whatever I want all day, and that's not an excuse. That doesn't mean binging and going, oh my god, I've got to satisfy all of my future cravings and urges, right? That's one of the things that happens when people have a binge, is that the reason why they have their fuck it moment is because their brain is thinking, I know that there is going to be some excessive restriction just around the corner, so I need to satisfy not just this craving, but every single future craving I could ever have. And so that's when it develops into a full-on binge. So it's not that. It's not like just forcefully stuffing your face. It's just allowing yourself more flexibility to eat whatever you want and drink all day long. And then I'm just immediately back to my just standard regular pattern the following day. And it's a blip on the radar. It makes no difference on the scale of a 365-day year. And Christmas is just perhaps a slightly bigger version of that. But honestly, certainly for us, certainly based on where my personal values and standards lie, it's a couple of days where for the whole day, on those couple of days, I'll probably eat and drink more and give myself more flexibility. And maybe a couple of other days here and there where maybe, maybe there's more drinking involved or whatever. But honestly,
it's hardly any, right?
When January comes around, there's barely any noticeable change. like honestly, it's yeah, there's barely any noticeable change. Now, each person's going to have their own variation based on where their values lie. And maybe for some people, when January comes around, they are a little bit softer. They've gained a couple of extra pounds. Nothing significant, it's small. But here's the key, is that when you've eliminated emotion from food, now you have 100% trust and belief and faith in yourself. So there's absolutely no emotional attachment to those couple of extra pounds. You're like, well, yeah, just like Rachel was saying a moment ago, obviously I'm a bit softer. I drank more wine and I ate more sausages or whatever.
There's no surprise.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I'm also not bothered because I know within like a week or two, or maybe even less, whatever. But you know that it's very, very easy for you to just go straight back to your baseline. There's absolutely no knee-jerk reactions, right? There's no compensating. There's no, oh my God, I need to cut out carbs for a month or cut out sugar for a month. It's just, no, I'll just go straight back to my standard, regular routine. And that's what Christmas looks like without the binge. So you absolutely can allow yourself more flexibility to enjoy food and drink more. But every step of the way, it's a conscious choice. It's not an emotional compulsion, and there's no binge eating anymore. And you are always being totally honest about what the really big picture is in terms of your values and your principles. So when you're doing this, at no point are you violating your health and fitness and well-being values. You're not violating your social and recreational values. You're able to meet all of these at the same time. And I think this is one of the things that gets people stuck, is they think they're either, that they often label these times as when I'm breaking my diet or I'm being bad. No, over Christmas, I'm not breaking my diet. I'm 100% living my values because this is part of my values. And it's sustainable year round.
Ironically, I remember it was either last year or the year before, one of our ladies who joined us around sort of this time a year or two ago sent us a message in mid-January and said, I cannot believe I actually consciously ate more, and I gave myself permission to actually enjoy Christmas and going out a lot more. So I probably would have eaten more consciously than I would usually have done. But because she wasn't binging, there was no blowouts. There was no huge weight gain over the Christmas period. And she said to us, I can't even believe this has happened. Like I thoroughly enjoyed my Christmas. I ate and drank more than I usually would, yet I haven't had that massive blowout effect. And obviously it's changed body composition because there were no binges. So what she was doing, and this might resonate with some of you ladies, that, on Christmas Day, she would kind of like restrict everything on her plate, but then eat secretly because, of course, you have that feeling of restriction. And when there is no self-control because it's a compulsion. And sometimes you don't even know that you're doing it. And next thing you know, you've got your head in a chocolate box, or you have a small slice of cake. And then you think, well, actually, I just want a little bit more and a little bit more. And then next thing you know, you've had actually a massive chunk of cake. So what she did had actually a fairly decent size of pavlova, but then she didn't go back for seconds. So again, this is all very well saying these things in principle, but it's actually the mindset techniques that go on behind this and how you manage your state and becoming aware of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors before you even get to that stage, which is obviously, what we do at Chase Life. So, and before we wrap up, did you want to say anything else?
just one more thing as well, something else about Christmas and these moments, because sometimes we have people say stuff like now's not the right time because I've got so much on, work and life is so crazy busy at work, or this is not the right time because I've got a bunch of celebrations because Christmas is around the corner. Actually, that's the ideal time to be doing this, because we are rewiring your emotional responses around food. Well, anybody can be strict when they've got nothing on. Right?
We see that a lot.
There's no events in the diary. There's everything is perfectly within their control. They're not traveling, right? Well, that doesn't teach you the mental agility and fitness and decision-making processes required in order to be able to function in life. And so actually Christmas is the ideal time, because when you allow yourself perhaps a little bit more permission than you would at other times, Right? If you've got that voice that then pops into your head going, well, I've broken my diet, it's a bad day or it's a bad week, I might as well just throw the baby out with the bathwater and just go mental. When that voice kicks in, that's the ideal opportunity to rewire this part of your brain using obviously the skills that we teach to re-educate your brain and those responses in that particular environment. So it's the ideal environment. As they say, nobody ever develops inner strength from having an easy life, right? And so how do you develop significant physical fitness and strength? By doing tough workouts. Well, it's the same in life, right? Put yourself in the environments in which you used to struggle, right? It's kind of like, if you used to struggle around social situations, around food, well, avoiding those situations altogether only reinforces the behavior. You want to put yourself in the situation that used to be uncomfortable and do things this new way, apply these new skills that you have now, so that you have an opportunity to rewire your brain. So it's the ideal training ground. It's the ideal opportunity for you to do this.
So the best time is the worst time. So whenever your worst time is the best time to come and work with us. So I was going to say just short and sweet. It's actually not short and sweet, but there we go. Very important
It's
topic.
short and sweet for us.
It's short and sweet for us. Ladies, if you want us to cover a topic on the podcast, which we are going to start recording imminently.
In fact, we said when Jazz started.
I know. We're very excited. Actually, side note, Xavier is not in nursery. He's now 19 months old, and we've decided to get a nanny. And she started with us on Saturday, and I'll be honest with you, I was perhaps a little bit hesitant and quite nervous about how he would respond, because he's very clingy with me. And I didn't feel it was the right time to sort of put him in nursery. Anyway, he's taken like a duck to water to our new nanny, Jasmine. And she has got such a beautiful energy with him, and she's fun for him to play with, and he's like the happiest he's been in actually a very long time, and he's sleeping so well. So we did say that when Jasmine started with us, then we would start recording our podcast. So this is week 1. It's settling in week. So next week we're going to start recording our podcast. So on that note, if you have any questions that you want answered in a fair bit of detail, please do send us an email. It's podcast@chaselifeconsulting.com. I'm going to put it in here as well, podcast @chaselife. I can't spell. chaselifeconsulting.com or podcast. Questions? There you go. You can email us there. Or, of course, if this is the worst time of year for you, in terms of your binge and emotional eating, just managing your state, feeling self-conscious, having those moments where you try on a million dresses before you go out and end up wearing the black dress because nothing else fits, nothing else feels good. We all know what that feels like we've all been there. So now is the time to join us. So if you would like our help, please do reach out. I promise we don't bite. We're going to hold your hand every single step of the way if you're ready to do the work. So all you need to do is go to chaselifeintensive.com/call. I've pinned the comment in here so you can check it out there. Any questions that you have, please email me directly, rachel@chaselifeconsulting.com. Okay, guys, that's it from me. That's it from David. We will speak to you. We're going to be live actually tomorrow with something else, another topic related. So we'll speak to you soon. Ciao for now.